Hi, hello and welcome to episode 11 of Ellie Asks. I'm Ellie Phillips. Today I'm joined by Katie. Now, Katie I've known for many years. I lived in a flat, moved into a flat, and the next day, knock on the door, there's Katie standing with a box of chocolates, and we've been friends ever since. We've since moved numerous times, both of us, and had different relationships, got married, had children, all that sort of thing, and stayed firm friends. It just goes to show that little bit of kindness and that little introduction on that day when I was all alone in my little flat, that she came downstairs with a box of chocolates, has become years and years of friendship, forever, I'm sure, hopefully, very much so. So it's an absolute pleasure to have you on episode 11, Katie. I call Katie upstairs. My mum calls Katie upstairs because she used to live upstairs from me. So, and she's in my phone as Katie upstairs. So feel free to refer to as Katie upstairs if you want to put any comments under it, on Facebook and our Facebook group. And I even, when I went to message her on Messenger the other day, typed in Katie upstairs to try and find her, and then couldn't understand why she wasn't coming up. But anyway, to my Katie upstairs, I'll pass you over to Katie so that she can introduce herself, tell you a little bit more about herself.
Thank you. So I'm Katie upstairs, and I'm honoured that Ellie's asked me to do a podcast with her today. I've seen Ellie through this new business, through coaching, and I had some amazing time with her and helped me loads. So I'm really excited to share some of my experiences on this podcast. I am a 30-something, married with 2 children, and actually Ellie and I both had our first child within 3 months of each other, so we actually got to spend quite a bit of time together at that point, in this new crazy world we found ourselves in, and that's going to link into the questions that we're going to talk about today. But before then I spent over 10 years in the jewellery industry, working my way up from Saturday girl to managing jewellers, and now that's coming back into my life, and I was just starting my own jewellery business called Mia Kate Jewellery. So it's now time for my new chapter, just as Ellie is doing Ellie's coaching. So we're again at the same kind of level, I guess. Just how life is, isn't it?
We seem to be at the same point all the way through our lives, don't we? Yeah. Thank you, Katie. So today's question is, what advice would you give yourself as a new mum or as a new parent? Because like you say, we experienced that first time round at a similar sort of time, pregnancy and the time, and I know we've had many conversations about how when you're pregnant, you're like, oh yeah, it'll be fine, they'll just fit in with me, and whoa, when you actually have the baby, it's slightly different. So Katie, what advice, going back, what would you give yourself as a new mum, as a new parent?
Oh my gosh, I know this is only 30 minutes, so I'm gonna try and console it all, but I think if I personally could go back, I would really tell myself to take more care of myself. And it's probably the easiest thing to say, but the hardest thing to do. I was very lucky. My husband and I, we decided to have a family, and I was pregnant immediately. So I know we were very lucky in that respect. So I had a very, very good pregnancy, very easy pregnancy, and a ridiculously quick and easy labour. So I'm sorry. But yeah, I loved it. I loved being pregnant. I loved having a bump. I loved my labour. I would give birth every week if I could. That was also positive. And I think that also, because it was going so well, I think when you have this baby and you are sat and you go home and you're sat with this tiny thing, and I remember the first night we got home, and I looked at my little girl in the Moses basket next to me in the lounge, because I didn't really know what to do with her, and it was bedtime, and I was like, well, what do we do? And it's like, well, we have to carry her upstairs and put her in a Moses basket upstairs. And it was just, it is life changing. It's not or they will just fit in, or they'll have to fit. They don't. It's not that simple. And I think, when people ask you about what's it like to become a mum, if they haven't experienced it or they're about to experience it, I always say it's the most amazing, incredible, scariest time of your life, because it is this huge wave of unbelievable emotion. And why people do it more than once. Why did I do it more than once? I don't know. Why did you do it more than once?
It's a question I've asked myself many times. Many times I've asked myself, why did I have two? Why did I have two? But actually, during lockdown, it was brilliant because they played together beautifully. So I said to my husband just jokingly, this is the reason why we had two. Look how well they're getting on.
Yeah, I've said that. But I think after having my little girl, she's called Mia, after having Mia, my anxieties went through the roof. I was so worried. I think every mum becomes worried I believe, and dads as well, because dads have got to be this strong person for the wife or partner and for the baby, and they're not number one anymore, and there's so many things that go on. But personally for me, my anxiety just went through the roof. I was so worried about everything. I was worried about the colour of a sick. I was worried about the colour of a poop. I was worried how many times she fed. Everything was a worry. And I wish I could go back to that point and go, breathe, calm down, just relax and speak more. Because I think there's a lot of pressure nowadays, especially with everything being so open, like with social media and things. Everybody can see you. And I think I was so worried about what other people would think. And I think it does more, I personally agree that it absolutely does more harm than good, because you spend so much time assuming what other people might be thinking of you, and actually they don't really care. As long as you're happy and you're fine, that's it. They've got their own lives to deal with. But if I just wish I'd spent less time worrying about things that were going on under my roof and the things that I thought people were maybe going to judge me on being a new mum, and just put that energy back into me, because I think it would have given me a better experience.
Yeah, I think when you say about take care of yourself, that definitely resonates with me. I think that I totally became bottom of the pile, and that's something that my daughters won't necessarily thank me for. They won't know. And I did that selflessly, and I was quite happy to do that at the time, but actually didn't have a great experience as a new mum. And also, I think I would say ask for help more. I had loads of guilt surrounding asking for help. I was very much thinking, well, my mum and dad and my husband's mum and dad, they've done their bit. They've had two children themselves. They don't know. They don't want to look after my children. No, I feel really bad. Oh, no, I can't go out because I chose to have these children. So therefore, they're my responsibility. And I shouldn't I felt like I was putting on people. Although both sets of grandparents were really happy to have my children, it was here, it was in my head. I thought, oh no, I can't ask for help, I can't. I'll seem weak, almost like women have been having children for, years and years and millions in whatever years. I can't be the one that's seen to be struggling. I didn't like the fact that I felt like I was struggling.
Yeah, and I think coming from because I'd worked all the way up to having Mia, and I think I personally progressed myself in retail. I'd become manager, and you hit targets and you manage a team and you dress your shop how you're supposed to, you have audits and you pass all these things, and you're like, yeah, I can do that. And I turned around and I said to my mum, I've managed teams, I've managed shops with like £1 million takeovers. Why can't I do this? And she's like, because this is 24/7. It's not 9 to 5:30. You don't get an hour break and you can't switch off. This is 24/7. So don't try and compare. And I think I just wish I'd given myself a little bit more of a break. And then we had the surprise of our life. And when Mia was 7 months old, I found out I was pregnant with Max. So that was a crazy moment. And I remember sitting in Mia's nursery crying at her cot saying, I'm sorry, I'm gonna love you so much, I won't love you less. And it was just this pure mum guilt of me just like having a meltdown. But you know, you get what you're given in life, and we have the most incredible little boy, Max. After he was born, my anxieties and the way I felt just went so crazy, and I struggled, and I feel confident now to say I really struggled. How my husband stayed with me, I haven't got a clue, because I gave him hell for years, and it took me till he was 3 years old to actually walk into the doctors and say I need some help. And I really wish I had done that sooner, because I could have got the help, whether it was through the health visitor or through asking for help, you know, and not hiding, or to the doctor, whoever, because then I could have got better, if that's the right phrase, and they could have had a better version of me. My husband would have had a better version, and I would have been a better version of me for me as well. So that is probably the biggest thing. Whatever level that you potentially, hopefully you don't struggle as being a new parent, but whatever, if just one person takes the advice and just gets that bit of help, just do it. Because I just assumed that any parent with 2 young children felt like I did, and if I asked for help, I would have just been laughed at and gone, well, what do you expect, you've got 2 young children. And I actually do believe that I missed out on memories of Max's babyhood, if you like, when he was a baby. I feel like I haven't got as many memories, and it was probably because my head was spinning so much with everything else going on, that I've actually feel like I've missed out, and that you can't get back. You can't get back, but it's life, and there's a lot of life lessons that you learn from it. I don't want any more children. My husband and I were so happy with 2, and that's no right or wrong for anybody. It's what's right for you as a family unit, and we're happy. We're having 2. We don't want any more, and it's about going forward, and it's about asking for help in the next stage. You know, so whether they have a struggling time at school, you know, let's not hide away. If you need to ask for help, just do it. You know, stop assuming other people are going to judge you for whatever, you know, and just live for today, because just time's so precious, and you've got to not regret, you've just got to learn and grow, basically. And that's what I could try and live by now, to worry less and smile more, which is hugely important.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, what a great message. What a great message, you know, go and get some help, because again, this is pinging for me as well. My daughters are 2 years apart, and when I had my second, that's when it really hit me as well. I think I could manage with 1, but having 2, when actually my eldest was only 2, which she's still really only little, when I had a newborn as well. And I wonder where we get, you know, culturally, is it our culture, is it our society, or is it social media more so now that we almost, I don't know, do we feel like we have to do it on our own? Is it just this whole Facebook life that you can see people loving having their newborns, and isn't this wonderful, aren't they so content, you know, they slept through the night, all that sort of stuff? Did you feel that pressure from social media?
I think I did, but I didn't kind of go, oh, that's why I feel like this. I think it was like psychologically there, but I didn't admit it to myself. I think if you just look at Facebook and Instagram and things like that, they're brilliant. They're brilliant for things like connecting with people, you know, keeping in touch with family. You know, there's so many positives about it. We can't just I don't want to just put like a negative light on social media, because it's helped so many people. And going forward, like my business, your business, it is good. But at the same time, there's this general idea that everything's got to be perfect, and how many of us, and I totally put my hand up, take a picture of my kid, but I get the corner of the room that's tidy and I stand them there because it's tidy, and I don't want them to see my breakfast pots on the side because I haven't got time to do them before the school run or whatever. And I just think, do you know what, I even got my son in the car one day and I'd forgotten to put his bit of like tuffed up bed head down. It had been raining, so I got the water off the top of the car and I was doing this walking into school, and it's like, give yourself a break, because this is normal. This is what happens. And do you know what? The older I get, the more confident I feel to go, do you know what? This is my life. And in the kindest possible way, I don't need to worry or care what goes on in my friends' houses and my friend's life, in a kind way, because this is mine, and in my bubble, this is what I need to focus on and invest the time in. So yeah, it's life. But I do think when you have because when you look at Instagram or you look at Facebook, let's say, you see what people want you to see. So you see them going on a holiday, you see them going on weekends away camping, you see the new things they've bought for the children's bedrooms, you see the meals that they cook, and you just get this kind of, I did this in your mind, that, I haven't been on holiday, we haven't took our kids out, maybe I should be going to the beach today, they need adventure, they need fresh air, they need this, I've just put a pizza in the oven because I haven't got time to like sort a proper big cooked meal out. But that's life, and that is normal. But I do think there's so many pressures to make this perfect life, because you're so open to everybody if you choose to be.
Yeah, and I think that as a media, whatever that company is selling makes it very attractive. So whether that's the holiday, whether that's the house, whether that's the car, whether that's it. So actually we're pushed into our faces all the time these perfect visions of various things that we should have in our life, the adventures you go on, or the theme parks you could go to. The other thing that popped in for me while you were talking was that, do you find that when you have honest and frank conversations with friends about how, no, I'm winging it, I'm totally winging it, or just the fact that you have said on this podcast that you got the water from the car to scrape your, to flatten down Max's hair, everyone will be like, hallelujah, yes, she's with me. Because you literally, I'm scrabbling around every morning looking for hair grips and hair bobbles to put in my girl's hair. It's not... But then there are things that are really organised, because they're the things that are really, really important. They come to your values and things. But I think being vulnerable and being open to talk about it, rather than saying, oh yeah, I've got all my shizzle together, when actually, no, it almost is permission given to other mothers to go, totally winged it today. Rather than trying to have that one-upmanship and they've got the best thing of this, they've got the best thing of that, we go here, we go there, why?
No, I think it's totally right, because what you've just mentioned about values, like for me, my children will always go to school in the right clothes, with a pair of shoes that fit them, but they won't be the cheapest shoes and they won't be the dearest shoes, but they will fit them. They will go to school with a lunchbox, so luckily we can provide that for our children. But those are the important bits for us. And if the hair's not perfect, it's not going to affect their day, is it? And it is these things that, it's life, and it's busy. And how many people have got the kids ready to go out somewhere, not necessarily school, and they've got it dirty, and you've got to be out the door like 10 minutes ago, and then they don't go out in the outfit that you wanted them in, and then the hair bobbles don't match. But do you know what? They don't care. And I used to worry, just going back to what I said, I used to worry that we weren't taking them on these big, expensive holidays, and I used to worry that they weren't, flying off to Disneyland every year and stuff. But and it's, I'm not criticising people that do it at all, because everybody has the right to live their life how they want to, and as long as their children are cared for and looked after and loved, then that's entirely up to them what they do. But I take my kids out, and just like yesterday, we just went to the park near Granny's house, and we went and found conkers, and they were doing it for ages, but it doesn't matter. They just like to, it's just as long as they're happy and they're having fun. I think I have started to take the pressure off myself to think that everything's got to be a big event costing lots and lots of money, because that's not reality either. Summer holidays, you can't take your children out every single day to another amusement. you can spend £100 before you even got through the door on your tickets and your animal feed or whatever it is, you know. And let's be real. Let's be real. This is real life. You know, we haven't got a money tree in the garden as per every family. So I think it's just about, you know, stop worrying, stop putting the pressure on, just live for today, because nobody knows what's happening around the corner. And everybody, have a plan of what your future looks like. But if you spend so much time planning your future, you're missing out on the today. And the older I get, the more I realise how precious time is. Time is now, and you've got to enjoy today, and whatever today is and what tomorrow can be, because you don't know if it is going to be how long you've got. You know, I lost a most beautiful friend a few years ago, and she had 2 very small children, and sadly she passed away, and that wasn't her future. That wasn't her plan when she got married and had kids. You know, and I think there's so much importance about giving yourself a break, just stop worrying, just enjoy what you've got, and be content with what you've got, and not have this need that we have to have more and better.
Yeah, and I think also maybe having to think to yourself about, and maybe having a conversation with your partner, if you have your partner, what sort of life do I want? What do we want our children to have? What do we want them to have in it? You know, what when they look back on their childhood, what do we want them to remember? Because they won't remember the school shoes that cost a fortune, or they won't remember they'll, like, we camped in the back garden the other weekend. I only made it till 1 a.m, and I went back in the house and left the kids and Danny in the tent. But that's not the point. But, anyway, moving on. But we kept. I think they'll remember that, and that didn't cost us a fortune. Didn't cost us anything. So I often will say to them, what do we want the kids to remember? Because I have those same guilts about things, especially leaving teaching and having a decent amount of money at the end of the month, and, you know, going self-employed and having a job that the same amount of money doesn't come in every month, and thinking about money. But it doesn't have to be all about money, because actually they would rather just spend the time with us, like, you go picking conkers, or going to the beach and running out of the sea, and those sort of things are the things that's what makes me go and then if I'm feeling like, oh, we've not done enough, stop. What sort of childhood do I want them to have? Because at the moment I think I've gone from money rich, time poor, to I'm now time rich, money poor, and that's the way I would always. I mean, obviously, don't get me wrong, money gives you loads of choices, it gives you options, but when I was teaching and I was working a lot of hours, I didn't have enough time to spend with the children, and I didn't want them growing up thinking, well, mummy would rather have worked than spent any time with me, and that's what made me, one of the massive things that made me stop. So I think anyone listening, if they get that, oh, I need to keep up with the Joneses, or I need this, or I need that car, or the children need to wear this, or the children need to wear that, or we need to go here, go, actually, what sort of child, what fundamentally are the things that are really important to you and your husband and your partner, or whoever in your life, those important people who influence your children? How do you want them to be?
That's it. I totally agree with it, because I think when a lot of people grow up, when I did, I was like, you know, I always hope to get married. I hope to have that life. That's the family that I grew up in. I think that was my idea, to meet someone, get married, have a family, have a big house, you know, have this, have that. But do you know what? Now, when it comes to it, because we're not getting any younger, are we? And we've still got mortgages to pay off and stuff like that. But I have always thought, oh, I'd really, really love a huge kitchen with a big island in the middle. I want it to be like this big social hub, and I want this and that and the other. But do I want to add 40, 50 grand on to my mortgage? Or do I just want a nice kitchen? Because it don't matter how big your kitchen is, you can still cook a meal. You know, it doesn't matter how big your garden is, you can still go outside and play, you know. And I just think these are the things. It doesn't matter if I go to Cleethorpes Beach or a beach in Devon. They don't want to be sat in the car for 7 hours just for a little bit of fun. You know, do you understand what I mean? It's bigger isn't always better. And I do think, I saw something recently, actually, it was quite interesting. You know, like as a parent, one of my favourite sayings is, I just need a break. And I mean that, I just need a break. Just need the life to pause, just so my head can't stop spinning as much. And it was this, just like a little picture, and it says, Mum might say I need a break, but when you hear your kids say, will you play with me? That's the same thing to them as a child. So you need that time out, whatever it is, or whatever you need to do. And that child, when they're saying, will you play with me? It's because actually they need you at that point. As a child, they're different to adults. They don't need a break, really. It's like, but they just need that. They know that interaction. And I think, how many times have my kids said, Mummy, can you just come and play with me? And I'm going, yeah, just a minute, I'm just washing up, or yeah, just a minute, and it's like, yeah. So it really resonated with me, that really did. And I think they might only need 5 minutes, they may only need, let's just get Uno out and play Uno for half an hour, whatever, but that means more to them than giving them the tablet to play an activity on, or giving them a new toy to play with. That's not what they need. They do need the interaction. And it doesn't matter if you can only give your child maybe half an hour a day or 3 hours a day. It's what you fill that time with. Because we are in parents do work, and they may have to go to an after school club or whatever, but if you just spend that time, whether it's reading a really good book at bedtime and speaking to them and having that interaction, that I think is so important. And that, like you say, is what they're going to remember in years to come. And that, I think, is really, really important. It's just to enjoy it and to be happy and be good.
And I think we've talked about a lot during the episode, but something that I can remember us talking about, and I hope you don't mind me sharing this with the listeners, but that at one point you were like, but my house is so untidy, or my skirting boards, I'm looking at my skirting boards now, which need cleaning, but my skirting boards, I need to clean them. My mum's house was always tidy when we were growing up. My mum's house was always clean. And I was like, well, how old were you when you remember this? Oh, well, I was older. And at this point, your children were really, really quite little. I mean, Max would have been about 1, if that, and you go, but what does that really matter? How much of that really matters to you? And is it that you're remembering because you're older? You were older when you could remember that. And actually, as your children get older, life does get a little, it changes, not, it's not, it gets easier, or they're more self-sufficient and all those sort of things. So, but it's almost like, do the pots need washing right away? Does the dishwasher need emptying? Do the clothes need putting away right this second? What can give, sort of thing? So I think we've covered that in the episode, but we've also covered the fact, ask for help, take some time for yourself. I can always remember somebody saying to me, because I felt really guilty about wanting some time and getting away, because my girls both wouldn't sleep in the day. They would only sleep on me, and I felt like, oh, I can't do anything. And my coach at the time said to me, well, think about Ellie, just because I said, oh, but I wanted these children, I've always wanted to have children, and now I feel really bad that I'm saying, I want some time away from them. He said, yeah, but imagine you've got a job, it's your dream job, you've loved your dream, and now you've got your dream job, but somebody's told you that the working hours are 24/7 and your pay is 0. How long are you going to love it for? How long is it going to be your dream job for you? It's only natural that even if you love something and you've wanted to do it for such a long time, that you're going to get to a point where you're like, I need a break. I need to do something different. So if you're in that headspace, give yourself a break.
It's give yourself a break. It's just walk away. It's not like, get on a plane and fly away for 7 days. It's just go for a walk for an hour, just clear your mind, because I definitely have taken that advice and I do it. And my husband even goes, just go to Tesco's for an hour, walk around, just and he pushes me out the door sometimes, because it's just a matter of just stopping, breathing, you can hear your thoughts for a minute, clear your mind, and then you go back and it's like, yep, fine, and you can conquer the world again. So I think it's life is very, very busy nowadays, and it is about just investing that bit of time for you as a parent, whether you're a mum or a dad, because then everybody gets a better version of you, and so do you. So yeah. Definitely.
Thank you so much. It's been really great talking to you. And I think if you're listening, if you haven't got children or you're an expectant parent, that, you know, think about listening to, take some time, make sure you have that time. But also, if you have got your children, what sort of life do you want your children? What do you want them to look back on? What sort of childhood would you like them to have? Do you need to make any changes to your current, just, you know, have a bit of self-awareness about your life and actually what they see of you when they come in from school or when you pick them up from nursery or whatever it might be, wherever they've been. What do they see you doing most of all? Do you stop and listen to them when they want you to speak to you, or are you busy getting on with things? You know, because actually listening to someone is so very powerful, and your children need to know. I believe that your children definitely need to know that you're there to listen and to have and to communicate with them.
Yeah,
So
if you don't listen to the little things now, you won't hear the big things later, because they won't tell you. And it's creating the foundation from day one. Even if you just literally stop with the rubber gloves on your hand and you just kneel down so your eye level height, and you just listen, and it could be the silliest little thing, but to them it's so important. So yeah, totally agree.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Katie. As always, episodes of Whiz By. It's been an absolute honour to have you on, my Katie upstairs. Take care.